Having spent the day here in Louisville, I can only offer my warmest congratulations, not only for what you have already achieved, but also what you are striving for in the future.
Now, that was then Prince Charles speaking at Louisville's Cathedral at Assumption in downtown Louisville back in 2015. He was the guest of Louisville philanthropist Christy Brown. Charles and Camilla were here as part of a 4-day American tour. And on the guest list to meet him that day, famed Louisville sculptor Ed Hamilton and his wife Bernadette. So I asked Ed if he would come in and talk with us about that very interesting visit on such a big day, the burial of the Queen, and as we now talk about King Charles.
Right.
Ed, you had a little gift for him. We've got pictures when you actually met him. Tell me about this. This is amazing.
Well, you know, it was so exciting that Christy included us in the to be able to meet and greet him. And so, yeah, there we are there. And of course, Bernadette had Camilla spellbound. She's telling
great.
her all kind of good stuff. And then I was explaining the statue to Charles. What Christy did was commission me to make one of the marquettes of the Lincoln Memorial down on Waterfront. And of course, you know, they've got a Lincoln just like the one we have in front of the library.
And you see that the statue you made with with Lincoln's back to us in this photograph. So tell me what they said to you about, were they fascinated by Lincoln and your portrayal of him?
Camilla was fascinated by the aspect of the sculptural aspect of it. And she even said, you know, I've always wanted to sculpt. So I'm thinking, well, call me. I'll come anytime you want. I've got you.
Jet to London.
Jet to London in a minute, you know what I mean? And then I was explaining to Charles the whole concept of why Lincoln was down at the waterfront, you know.
Which is a detailed story. What did he say about that? That's Lincoln viewing slaves coming off riverboats.
He just responded in a very quiet way. That's interesting, you know. I mean, he didn't get into no specific stuff, but he's very limited in his talking about what we were talking about, okay?
Did you have questions for him?
Not really. I was like a kid in a Kansas. I'm like,
So Ed, you saw this play out today. I mean, you met basically the future king.
Yeah, we met the future. I mean, who would have thought? I mean, really, you dream of meeting famous people or whatever, you know, but who would have thought we would have been able to have met the Prince and the Duchess of Cornwall, later to become the King of England, and her the Camilla consort, you know.
Do you think he was silent because the story is that's Lincoln, which is a true story of when he was visiting Joshua Speed, his friend here, of watching slaves in shackles coming off a Louisville riverboat.
That's right.
Do you think that's why Prince Charles was silent that day?
Probably, he might have been, but you know, it wasn't the occasion to get into any politics about Lincoln. You know, it was all about just being able to be around and deal with what we were dealing with in regard to the people around us and having a good time.
So what do you think now? Your sculpture is over there. Do you think he sees it?
I hope he does. I hope Camilla says, hey, call that young man and bring him over here.
What is your view on the royals, since you actually got to meet them and their importance in the world?
You know, I think she was not political. She held no political other than stayed away from that aspect of it. Wouldn't it be interesting if we had a monarch here in America? What if we had?
Now you're going down a whole new road.
Better get out of that rabbit hole. But anyway, we don't want a monarch here. Okay, all right, okay. No problem.
Ed, it was quite the honor for you to present that and a part of Kentucky and a part of American history.
That's right.
And I got to tell you, I've covered you for 35 years now, and you are our piece of royalty in Louisville. So I want to thank you for everything you've done. Your conversation, your sculptures, you try to connect us to come together in this community.
That's right. That's what
it's
all about.
And that's what you've always been about.
Thank you, Doug.
So our own royalty, the Prince, Ed Hamilton. Thanks for your time.
Appreciate you.
Always enjoy having you here.